there because I had to go pick up some meat for the
Yes,
kitchen
he
over
said
there.
he's really good.
Did they have that meeting Friday?
There was a meeting Friday. Yeah.
I didn't even talk to her earlier because that's where I couldn't be there. That was when I was picking up Pete from the hospital.
Yeah.
I seen you down at the
Remember? Oh, that's right. Don't these sisters?
ice rink.
You doing all right?
Another 3 or 4 weeks recovery.
I'm doing fine.
She went and
Same
seen
thing I got. Had to get 2 rounds of antibiotics.
I want to remember him to tell me at the end of the
I guess we're ready, guys. You ready, Dale?
Yes, sir.
I don't have the water plant cleanup.
Oh, yeah, okay, I got it.
I'd like to call the November 25th Utility Service Board to order. Roll call, please.
Board Member Tony Abbott.
Here.
Board Member Aaron Cook.
Here.
Board Member Mel Davis.
Here.
Board Member Randy Abner.
Here.
Board Member Paul Seymour Jr. is absent. City Attorney Dal Weldon.
Here.
Utility Director Olin Clausen.
Present.
President Kelly Milan is absent. The meeting will be presided over by Member Mel Davis and myself.
Thank you. Any announcements?
No, Your Honor, I don't have any announcements at this time. I think we can go right into approval of minutes and then committee
Yeah.
reports.
I don't have an announcement. I have a request. I'd like to ask the board if we could move the Utility Service Board meeting next month to the 16th. And I'll explain why a little bit. I have to go back to the doctor, and after that I might be under doctor's care. So if you all could move that, I would certainly appreciate it. We have a motion to do that, please.
Talking about December 16th, right?
December 16th, yeah.
Okay, so move.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
You want it at 5 p.m. on that night?
Yeah.
5
That'll
p.m.
be fine. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes of the last meeting? If so, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
So move.
Second?
I'll second that motion.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Committee reports. Financial update. Mr. Browning?
So I gave everybody 3 different packets. I'll address 2, and then Musha's going to give an update on the fiber project with the SCADA project. So the first project, or the first packet I'll talk about, is the financial statements. That's the top page, is the statement of net assets. That's just giving a picture as of December 31st, where our net assets are. If you guys have any questions about that, please reach out to me. High level, total net assets of the entire utility is $65 million. Electric is $29 million of that. Then we'll run to the next page. The next 4 are just income statement year-to-days for electric, water, sewer, and fiber. And then after that, we have our comparative income statement. Those just show October 31st of this year compared to October 31st of last year, month to date and year to date. And that's for electric, water, and sewer. Where I think we need to focus on is the management summary, and that is just going to show us where we are in some important aspects of the utility, all the way back from December 31st of 2015 up to today. There we go. One aspect to look at is the total current assets. The utility had total current assets of $7.6 million on December 31st of 2015. To date, the utility has increased their total current assets to $8.5 million. And total assets, including our capital assets, we've went from $25.4 million to $32 million. And our net position has also increased by the same amount. The operating income has risen a little bit, but it's pretty stable. And then the next 2, you'll find water. which water, the total current assets have risen from 2.7 million to 5.1 million in 2019, and the total assets, including capital assets, has risen on 12/31/15 of 22.6 million to 23.7 million. And the next page is our wastewater utility. Same story. The current assets, total assets, including capital assets, have both risen. You can see that the operating income has increased due to some new charges and new customers in sewer. I think these are important, to look at because this shows a complete financial picture of the utility. And I think as we go forward, this will be something important to look at to where we can compare. We're not looking at one line item. We're looking at the total financial picture of the utility.
Colin, I haven't had a chance to go through all these yet. Are you doing funded depreciation also?
I'm sorry?
Funded depreciation
Yeah.
on the equipment and
Yeah.
assets?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the second packet that I gave you guys is just we're finaling the rodeo. It's done. We've got all charges, all revenues. And then it's got the budget on the front page. The actual detail and itemization of each classification is on the second page. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And then finally, we are moving our payroll sweep account to First Financial Bank, or from First Financial Bank to Friendship State Bank. If Amy wants to come up and talk about the specifics, would you like to? Okay.
I think basically they wanted me to mention the necessary documentation that we need for a business account. In LMU's case, it would be an organization, and we would need IRS identification. Obviously, that's tax ID number. A resolution provided from the organization, and minutes or other documentation appointing authorization signers and officers signed by the organization secretary. So minutes from this meeting would be necessary in order for them to move that account from First Financial to us. The resolution can come later, but it is necessary documentation. And a resolution, I'm sure you all are aware of what it states. It states who has the powers to do business on behalf of the organization.
Do you need a motion from this board, Amy?
I do, so that it would be mentioned in the minutes of your meeting, and that a copy of that would be necessary to open the account.
And that includes their business card accounts also?
I'm sorry?
Their business card accounts, their credit card accounts?
The credit card accounts, it would be necessary for that as well.
Okay.
But that is a separate.
Separate? Okay, all right. So we need a motion to approve a decision by the utility director and the financial person to move the accounts from First Financial to
The Friendship State Bank.
Friendship Bank.
I'm Amy Fryman. I'm the.
I know who you are.
Okay.
And
I'm
we're-
sorry
we're
I didn't
talking
introduce
about-
myself when I got up here.
We're talking about just some specific accounts.
Yes,
And the reason for doing it is,
everything, but.
well,
yeah.
the rates are more favorable to us. They're a
Checking
local
card,
bank,
yeah.
and we seem to do better with the local banks when it comes to issues. Sometimes the customers experience problems with their accounts that are outside of our hands. And it's nice to be able to pick the phone up and call somebody that you know them, you see them on a regular basis. And just like we do with UCB or Civista now, we tend to get more catered service for those issues. So it's really a convenience item and an economical, a financial item that's a beneficial thing for all involved.
Okay. I need a motion, guys, to approve.
When will the resolution be drawn up, and who will draw that up?
Who will, yeah.
We gave a resolution to Colin, so I think you guys just want to review it and then
Yeah.
pass it later, but they do have it.
Okay.
And the clerk treasurer's office is aware of it, and we have no issue, and Colin's talked with us about it, so.
So if we could just pass, or not, a motion to approve that, I think that would help Amy with her board. So,
So moved.
I'll second his motion.
moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you for your business.
Now, I have a question, Amy.
Okay. Yes.
Are you all hooked up to the fiber yet? The LMU fiber, are you hooked up to the fiber yet?
Our Lawrenceburg branch?
Yeah,
I do not think we are yet.
okay. Just a question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fiber update.
Good afternoon, Council. I just have a very quick fiber update, and it is related to the SCADA, Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. A little over a year ago, I believe the Council had approved for the utility to get the SCADA connected and via fiber. So that project is near, almost is complete, and so we want to shift those fiber assets back to the water department. And these are for the water lift stations.
Might want to explain what that means, what you're talking about, SCADA.
Correct.
As so that the public will know.
So
what you're talking
for all those that are unaware, SCADA is a system. It stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition, and essentially it is our way of monitoring whatever, like on the electric SCADA, we monitor like the substations, faults, amperage, so forth.
Talking to lift stations here.
And
right?
then, so this, I'm referring to the water and sewer lift stations and controlling flow and, I'm
Monitoring
not that
pump
familiar
health.
with water, but Mr. Clausen can address that. But it's essentially, it is the communications, and that's why I'm giving this update, because whether it's electric, gas companies use the same thing. We obviously don't do that, but water, sewer, we still have to have some way to monitor those systems, and that's essentially what the SCADA does.
I think the real benefit, and people who have been around SCADA systems will know, when in the past we've had people's basements that have been flooded and things like this because of lift station fails, and we get an alarm through a cell signal, really, that goes to the operator. Operator goes out there, and we just had one this weekend where a lift station cutout blew. The SCADA system is an automated system to where we get actually remote control of those assets, and so we can bypass those sewer lift stations. We can monitor pump health. We can monitor over long periods of time if we've got vibrations on motors, things of that nature, so that we can proactively correct those issues before they become bigger issues. With the electrical piece, and so everybody understands, the SCADA was a package that was purchased for all of the utilities. And for substations, for example, we can remotely turn breakers back on so power gets restored more quickly into areas that lose power. We can monitor amperages, primary amperages, secondary amperages at the substations. We can also monitor amperages at lift stations and have some idea if a lift station is under heavy load. We can get flow data on the sewer lines and information like that really is some of it's going to be very useful. Some of it's going to be, maybe we don't know what to make sense of it right now, but right now we don't monitor any of that.
This is part of the backbone that we put in.
No, it isn't. It's a whole separate SCADA network. It communicates over the backbone.
It communicates on
Yeah, the backbone's an integral part of it for sure.
Okay.
But it just allows us to provide better services to the customers on a myriad of different levels. Like Moosh said, we got approval for this project probably a year and a half ago. It's been a lengthy process to get it in. We're getting ready to commission that, and so we need to properly account for those costs for the utilities that are responsible for them.
Let me give you an experience example. We didn't have SCADA when I was here. So the hospital would call me in the middle of the night if their water pressure was down. So then I'd have to rouse everybody up to find maybe a water leak or something going on with the elevated tank. Now you know right away before they call that something's going on. So
Well, and Tommy could speak to this with the sewer plant doing the upgrades and things that it's doing, the information we mine from our system. It'd be very useful for them to have that type of information, to know what flows are.
Right.
Maybe where we're getting stormwater intrusion, to be able to isolate those things out of the system or correct those problems. And you're right, as we develop and move forward and we bring other businesses to town, we're able to better know what our system's capable of the service it's capable of providing
Right.
in specific areas of town. And so it's really a major step forward for the utility. Like I said, it's been a long process, but it's going to have huge advantages for us moving forward.
Thank you.
So we need a motion to move or request the water and sewer to pay
We can
for
pick that up under new business, Mel.
new business?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, all right. Key account update, Crystal? There you are.
You can give it from the
It's
start.
up to you.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I just wanted to give you an update on the key account program as we get closer to the end of the year. I've had some good meetings with the community the last couple weeks. Met with the casino. It was a good meeting. They brought to our attention some issues that we were having there that we're helping them resolve. We are working toward the Green Power program still and some other programs that would be beneficial for new customers coming to the community as well as existing customers. And that's really about it right now. Do you have any questions for me?
I do have one comment. So Crystal met with the casino, and we found out that they have got some problems with their electrical equipment. They own it, but they've got a problem with it,
That-
the casino.
Okay.
And so they've got 4 feeds over there, and one of the feeds has got a breaker that's not operating correctly, and they've had to isolate that away, and then they've looked everywhere to try to find the breaker, and they couldn't find it. So we asked if we could be of assistance to them, and we implemented Mike Highland and the listserv through APPA and found 2 organizations that can one of them can replace the breaker, the other can retrofit the breaker. And the breaker's not expensive, it's just hard to find. They just don't make them anymore. In talking with them, they also have, anytime there's a little bitty blip, and Tony, you'll see this downtown, if there's a little flicker in the lights, all of the electronics that operate the slot machines on the slot machine floor, it shuts them off. Even the slightest interruption, and it doesn't have to be in Lawrenceburg. A car could hit a pole up in Greendale, and because we're tied together at the bus at the Greendale substation, we see a flicker here, and it disrupts their service.
And where we may not notice it as much, it costs them about $20,000 every time that little flicker happens. So it is something that's quite substantial to them, which should be important to us. So that's why we're working with APPA and other IMPA to try to get something in place to help them there, because they're very important to our community.
So Crystal was able to kind of mine that information from them. And we sat down and had a very good meeting with them and determined that sometimes it's $20,000, sometimes it's $250,000 if it's prolonged. So it'd be very, very expensive to them. And so I suggested that maybe we look at a battery backup supply that they would fund, but that we could work with IMPA, and that IMPA would actually pay them a standby rate if they could discharge that over a couple periods a year. So if they could discharge that back into the system for the whole system, IMPA would actually pay them for the production of that power. They'd buy it back from them. So it was a very productive meeting. I followed up with Raj and the engineers at IMPA, and we should have a sit-down face-to-face with them here in the next couple of weeks to try to iron this out. And if we do that, this is very advanced for any utility. And it's cutting edge in terms of power quality and supply, and could help the casino. And they said it point blank. They said, look, we'd rather put that $500,000 a year or whatever the number is into getting more people down here to the casino or into programs with the city instead of just paying to fix things that break. And so it has a lot of upside, a lot of potential. So I appreciate Crystal's efforts in that.
We also have a customer care meter program that just updated as well. It allows our customers to look at their demand readings every 15 minutes. Is something that we've had in the past, but it was kind of a pain to use. The system that we work with now has updated it. It's become a lot more convenient for the customers, so they're utilizing that as well. Been having meetings to update that for them also.
So I would say the key accounts program has been very helpful, very beneficial to the large customers who have embraced it, and the casino in particular. That could be a very, very positive program for us moving forward.
Any questions? Thanks.
Thank you, Crystal. I do have one other report. It's not on here. Everybody's aware that we've had some really high-level things going on in terms of the quality of water in our community. And so we have been given a report finally from the authoritative body that details the level of contaminants that are in the water, to what degree of concern that we should have for them, and to what amounts they exist. And I'm going to, with the board's permission, I'd like to summarize that and even include that in the next bill going out to the customer so they can see this. This is the factual data from the state and the feds that talks about, and we came in lower than all of the standards that they're looking for, where it raises a red flag. So on every carcinogen, every particulate, all the different things that people would be concerned about that are alarming and we should be concerned about, we actually came in well below the threshold on all of those items. So I think it's a very positive thing for us. And like I said, I'd like to summarize that into a one-paragraph statement, tell them where they can find the actual report, read it if they'd like, and get that out to the residents so they know that they can use the water that we produce in good faith and not worry about their health.
You need a motion for that, or?
I'd like to have a motion for that if you would.
Make a motion to approve allow Mr. Clausen to put that in the utility bills.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Opposed? Passed. New business.
Thank you, Your Honor. If you've been to the water plant or really anywhere east of Seagram's, you'll notice the black mold that is built up on pretty much everything that doesn't move. The water plant's no exception to this. In fact, it probably is one of the areas that gets some of the heaviest, I guess, deposits of this, whatever it is, mold. And so we've actively gone out and sought competitive pricing to have all that power washed and clean the facilities up. And in your packet, you'll see the lowest of the 3 bids that we got to perform that work. I'd like approval tonight to go ahead and have that work completed.
Have you gone to Seagram's or whatever to see about them paying for part of this? I mean, they paid for part of it for everybody else in that side of town.
Well, I know there was a class action suit on this. Andy and I had a long talk about this. There was a class action suit where they paid for certain people to have power washing done.
Yeah, twice so far.
Yeah, I don't know why we didn't qualify for that or get funds for that, but we didn't. That's all that I know about it. This would have kind of taken place kind of when I first came on board, shortly after I came on board. I think we missed the window of opportunity to request to participate in that class action suit.
What's your pleasure, gentlemen?
It needs to be cleaned.
It has to be
Pardon me?
cleaned, yeah.
Is
I'll
this
make a motion, we go ahead and proceed with it, get this thing cleaned up, because
Moved? Is
I
there
was
a
going to
second?
ask, is this the only bid that you got?
No, we got 3 bids.
You got 3 bids?
Yep.
Okay, I missed that.
Yep.
Alrighty.
This was the
Is there a
lowest of the
second?
3.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Mike Harper, mini excavator and trailer.
Thank you. Mike Harper, Lawrenceburg Utilities. I'm here today to ask for permission to purchase a mini excavator. We do have this mini excavator on site. If you guys look in your packets, you'll notice I also handed out an extra paper that had the extras that go with it. So the cost that you see in your packet is not the cost. I have the cost right here. We've had it for 16 weeks. They brought it to us brand new, unscathed, and we've used it up to probably 3 days a week, and we use it quite a bit. And the reason I'm asking to purchase this is because we need our own. We use it for electric, we use it for fiber. When we got the boring equipment, obviously it needed a few more pieces to go with it. If the water department has a break, something happens with that, and we have their equipment, they're gonna come get it. They're gonna need it. We won't be able to use it. So I put the pricing on there. One brand new is $102,000. And we would be getting, with all the equipment and the extras, we would be getting it for $68,329. So I've come to you guys today for permission to purchase that. If you guys have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
So 2 things on this. The government pricing, this piece of equipment is on the government pricing at the full price. So the requirement to get the 3 bids is kind of a null and void issue. Secondly, we have competitively priced these, and this is well below market.
We've actually had Mario Todd stop over and Andy Lyons, and they were really impressed with the pricing that we were getting on this.
So I got one question. Can we use it in all departments if necessary? Say the Civil City needs
Absolutely.
it. Is there a problem with Civil City
No,
using
not at all.
Nope.
having the utility guy?
I have no problem with that.
No, and they wouldn't even need to have one of our operators. It's like with the vac truck. If the Civil City has a need for the vac truck, they have a couple people who are certified that know how to run it. They're welcome to take it and use it. And this piece of equipment would be no different. We'd certainly allow them to use it if it needs be.
And I do have the other quote with the $68,329. I can get it to Crystal. Crystal can get it to you guys so you guys can see it.
I'll make the motion to purchase it with the extras for what,
$68,329.
$329.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, guys.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Mr. Clausen and Mr. Browning, conclusion of SCADA project.
Yeah, so this is the SCADA project that we talked about earlier that Moosh gave the committee report on. What we've got now is the electric utility has basically bought all the equipment for all 3 of the utilities, all the SCADA equipment, RTUs, et cetera. And so now that the project's coming to completion, we just need to properly allocate those costs to the utility that's going to own those assets.
And that's in this breakdown here, Roland?
Yes, it is. That's correct.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion, we go ahead and proceed with it.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Olin Clausen, 2020 Lineman Rodeo.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to tackle this one in conjunction with Crystal. Crystal's worked most closely with the hotel and casino for this event, so she's got some information that we've got from there. Is she the manager? Stephanie Riddle. Stephanie Riddle. So if you want to go ahead and go through yours, and we'll talk about the other parts of it.
Okay, we reached out to her shortly after the rodeo to see what kind of financial impact it had on the community as far as their portion of it. It doesn't include the restaurants and bars downtown. Obviously don't have that information. As far as the hotel, both hotels, bars, restaurant, casino, it's roughly brought over the past 2 years on average about $180,000 to them like I said, you have bars and restaurants down here in the communities that also benefit from that. Wasn't the other two things. So that's what she gave you.
She wanted to be here tonight. She's on vacation. But talking with her and the other management folks from the casino, this is probably their most lucrative event of the year. Well, not probably. They said it is their most lucrative event. Brings more money in that weekend. And Fall Fest certainly helps that, but it brings more money to the casino, the hotel that weekend than any other event that they have. And so I personally think it's a great event. The safety and training portion of it and the interaction with the high school kids on the apprenticeship programs and getting into the trades, I don't think that can be overstated. The trades are absolutely important to not just this community, but every community. And so, like I said, I personally think it's a very favorable event and would like permission to start actively working on Whiskey City Rodeo 2020.
Now, this is strictly the Lineman rodeo, right?
This would be both rodeos, Tony. And the thing I want to point out is we bring in so much money from other communities to help with this. And the interest in this rodeo, and Mike and Shane and the Hammer can attest to this, we had 7 teams from one utility in Illinois who came. We have been contacted by the International Lineman Rodeo, who wants to form an official affiliation with us to be the pre-rodeo to the International Rodeo. And the International Rodeo has been going on for 35 years. They have over 400 teams a year that go there. And so what that means is the sky is really unlimited as to what we could do with the rodeo. It's limited by the amount of people that we have to help put the rodeo on. A couple of the things we mined from this year's event, the Texas Lineman Appreciation Program. They have 15 volunteers that they have said will come and volunteer their time. They'll just come here for free, no cost to us, to help put the rodeo on, facilitate it. Ameren, Illinois, an investor-owned utility, said they've got 10 people that they will send over here at their expense to help put the rodeo on and facilitate the rodeo.
Well, I'm in full support of the Lineman rodeo, complete support of it. But I am not in full support of the bull riding rodeo. And if you're going to tie them together, that means I'm going to have to vote no. I mean, that's going to be my vote. But if you want to do them separate, start on the Lineman rodeo.
I know the rodeo will be a success either way. The one thing about the rodeo that is unique to this, that brings the interest, is where the lineman portion of it isn't necessarily mainstream. This is where we've been successful. There's a lot of people who are interested in the bull riding aspect of it. And so when they come down to watch that, they're almost made to interact with the journeyman lineman trade. And so we have a lot of positive outcomes from that. And that's really one of the reasons that a lot of these vendors are writing checks to us. We had checks written to us for $20,000, $10,000, $15,000 from outside companies, nationwide companies. And that's really the magic behind it. They like that interaction. They like the combination of the two.
Well, I see a lot of that being in combination with Fall Fest. That's why a lot of them are coming here for the Fall Fest.
Well, Fall Fest is definitely a huge part of it. I won't deny that. But from the vendors that we deal with that write checks to us in sponsorship of it, they have communicated with us that is the uniqueness that they enjoy. That's part of what they love and enjoy.
Well, that's my feelings on it. If you want to separate them, I'll vote yay for the linemans, and we'll work on the bull rodeo. But if you're going to put them together, I'm going to vote no.
Okay.
Olin, the gentleman that you and I talked to, I can say this, he was older than I was, the older gentleman from Buckingham.
Buckingham, yes, sir.
What was his comment?
It had expletives.
Have to clean it up a little bit.
It had expletives in it,
Yeah.
But this is the CEO for Buckingham Manufacturing, which is one of the largest manufacturers for line equipment, tools, etc. Multi-million-dollar company. He said point blank that Number one, they would like to be the main sponsor for next year's rodeo, and it was the best expletive rodeo that is being put on today. And so again, I personally think it's a huge feather in the cap of Lawrenceburg. We get so many positive things out of it, so many positive comments from the people who are over there interacting. Tiger Touchdown Club participates in it. It's their single biggest fundraising event that they have. So there's just so many positive things about it. And I would hate to see us step away from that opportunity.
So are you looking for a motion, Olin, to?
I'd like to have a motion to move forward,
Okay.
yes.
Is there a motion to proceed with the rodeo for 2020?
So move.
Second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay. I'm opposed. Nay.
You're opposed?
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Board Member Tony Abbott,
Nay.
Board Member Aaron Cook,
Yes.
Board Member Mel Davis,
Yes.
Board Member Randy Abner,
Yes.
Board Member Paul Seymour Jr. is absent.
Passed, 3-1. Any old business coming before this group?
No, Your Honor. The only thing that I would say under old business is we had a lot of people reach out to us, and we've been communicating with them on their electric bills and how to weatherize their homes, their apartments, things of that nature. So many people that it sends a clear message to us that next year we're going to do more in this effort. We're going to redouble our efforts to talk with people about how to save money at home on their utility bills. They were just really appreciative of that. And even though we've talked about it in the past, for whatever reason, this last message resonated. Maybe it's because it was so cold. I don't know. But it just tells me that it's something that is important to the customer base. And so you can expect that we will be much more proactive this next year, both in the heating, the air conditioning days of the year and the heating days of the year, to communicate with our customers how to improve on their situation.
Anything else? Any comments from the audience?
Dennis Hutchins, Center Street. Olin, talking about the problem at the casino on the surging the power interruptions. Why didn't they think about getting a battery pack way before now?
Well, so the casino has several things that are backed up by battery supply.
Oh, they are?
They do. The issue has been most people that put in big utility scale battery systems are computer chip manufacturers or medical facilities or facilities that have a very expensive stopping in place and cleaning process, meaning they're manufacturing something, power goes out, and they have to break all these machines down and clean all these machines out. They're injection mold machines, these kinds of things. And so they never really thought about it. When I first come on, Mel had championed our own independent substation that we wanted to build, and I was a proponent of that. But it got complicated because, number one, the expense was very high. And we had a hard time getting the adjacent community to go in with us, not just on the combination of this substation and the cost was about $7 million, but also on the location of that substation. If people who have been in the audience recall, we had a tentative agreement and some funding available to construct a substation over behind the Holiday Inn, or used to be the Holiday Inn by Burger King off of US 50. And we got to the final stages of that process. Duke Energy was on board. They were going to do the construction of the substation. IMPA was going to own the substation, and it was going to have separate breakers and separate feeds, and also operate, and this is going to be, I'm speaking Greek here, it had a 3-ring bus, so we had an alternate default source of power, so an instantaneous backup on the transmission.
Some form of separation.
Yes, and a form of separation, which is key, because right now we're tied together on the bus. So like I said, if a truck was to hit a pole over there by the Greendale pole right now, the lights here would probably flicker. And again, the casino would suffer from that. So what we proposed was a separate bus, separate relays, separate protection devices. And it really came down to, and they have every right in the world to feel this way about it, but the redevelopment commission in Greendale felt that there was a better, higher priority use for that property than a substation. Obviously, we disagreed, but it's their territory, it's their property. It was kind of out of our hands.
I assume that Ken is on top of it over there.
He is, and so it got mothballed. Well, the casino has battery backup for several of the critical pieces they have, like all the stuff that has to go to the state. They can't be interrupted. They have battery backup that supplies all of that without any interruption whatsoever to the state. What we're talking about is utility scale, so 12 megawatts, 15 megawatts, something like that, of battery capacity storage that would reside at the substation. That I'm not even sure who the ownership would be. Might be casino ownership. It might be IMPA ownership. But what that would do is it would handle the ebb and flows of the power supply. So if a leg went out, the batteries would pick it up. The casino would never see the dip in power. They would never see the
But
fluctuation.
you're talking about $500,000 here of lost money.
Of lost money, yes.
Yeah, so
But
it's significant.
To construct something like that's going to be, a couple $1 million.
Yeah.
They're aware of the costs. They're aware that this is something that benefits
They
them.
get it back in 4.5 years.
Well, they get it back over a period of time because IMPA has a standby rate that they're willing to discuss with them about buying that power back off of them and supplying. So you have what you call coincident peak demands.
Right.
Every community within a range of a couple hours has a peak in the morning and a peak in the afternoon that coincides with every other community in Indiana. And so that's when the stress is the highest on the system. That's when the cost for transmission is the most expensive on the system. And so during those peak times, they could discharge those batteries here locally, reduce our strain on the overall system, and in effect, reduce our prices for power here in Lawrenceburg for the customers, and at the same time, pay the casino for the production of that power. So it's a win-win-win all the way around.
Thanks. Two more quick things.
Okay.
I think everybody out here in the audience was wondering when you guys were going to pressure wash the cleaning tower how much we were talking about, because I heard the same whispers that I had in my head. So what was the cost of doing the winning bid was how much?
4,600.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last thing, that's fine. And the last thing I had for you was the rodeo.
Yes, sir.
I noticed there was a little hesitation on whether we're going to go forward with the rodeo next year. What was the cost? I know it was $175,000 or whatever for the rodeo. What was the actual out-of-pocket for Lawrenceburg? Didn't exceed $25,000, did it?
No.
Thank
It'd
you.
be right around there.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Hey, good evening, members of the board. Dave McGimsey, partner with Bingham Greenbaum Dahl. Just wanted to give you a very quick update on some matters that have occurred in the litigation pertaining to the appeal of the electric rate ordinance from last year. As you may know, we're up at the trial court right now on an appeal of that ordinance. And now that John Scomp has entered into full retirement, we needed an expert to replace him. And so I just wanted to update you that we are hiring an expert on the city's behalf to kind of take John's place. And so I just wanted to let you know that that's going on, that we're hiring a consulting expert in that litigation. So,
And just so everybody knows, this is Lightstone Power. They own the gas generation station that's on 50. They sued us both in federal and state court. We won the federal case, and now we have just the state appeal left to deal that was on the ordinance, the challenge of the ordinance of the council. So.
yeah.
And this is to verify our rates, correct, Dave?
Right, it's an appeal of the electric rate ordinance that had standby rates.
Okay. Anyone else? We have to pay the bills, guys. Has everybody had a chance to look at the claims? Motion to approve the claims.
So move.
Second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Now, unfortunately, we have to adjourn.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Is there Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Or second. Meeting adjourned. Dell, thank you.
Thank you, Mel. Feel better. Now I got to retire that thing finally. That was a good moment. But I had like 2 or 3 different ones, so I found one that would feel a little like that.
I've never had a review, but I've had
There's a lot of, yeah, I know there was, I know there was. As long as they get the wallet out.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, well, you can only read so much.
Yeah, I get so pretty.
Hey, all right, see you. Right.